Hello my loves and welcome to today's video. I thought we'd have a little cozy sit down, a little chat. I believe that there's about 10 weeks left of this year, which is just crazy. By the time you're watching this, probably a little under 10 weeks. But I thought we'd talk about my 10 before the end. So these are the 10 books that I'm hoping to read before the end of 2025. So sit down, get cozy, grab a drink. I have a cup of tea, obviously, in my little cactus mug. How cute. How cute. And let's get straight into the books that I'm hoping to read by the end of the year. And I feel like we have such a mix in here. I'm going to start off with the books that I think that I'm going to read really soon. And by really soon, I mean hopefully before the end of the month. The first one being The Crimson Moth. I've heard literally nothing but amazing things about this book and just this duology in general. I don't really know that much about it other than it's a fantasy romance. It follows a witch and a witch hunter. It's got that kind of dynamic, which is giving enemies to lovers immediately. I also really like the fact that it's fancy but it's a duology. I just feel like a duology is a really good amount. I don't know if anybody else gets what I mean by that, but it means that the first book isn't chunky and overwhelming, but also if I love this then I'm gonna have a second one to go into, and I just really like that. I don't know, it's just something about a duology that feels like a good amount to me. I actually feel like I haven't read a fantasy in a while, so I would really like to get to this one. I think this is probably almost definitely gonna be my next fantasy read, and because she's a witch and also just the whole vibe of this cover and everything really gives like fall autumn vibes, and I think it's going to be perfect to read around this time of year, and that's why I really want to get to it before the end of the month. And also it's on my October TBR, so I'm really hoping to get to this one and just to see what the hype is all about, to be honest, because I literally keep seeing it and keep seeing everybody raving about this book. So I want to know what they're all talking about. I want to know, and I have a feeling about this one that I'm really going to enjoy it. Fingers crossed. So this is the first book in my 10 before the end. Next up we have another one on my October TBR, another one that I'm hoping to read probably more towards the end of October, so nearer Halloween time. We have Make Me a Monster. This is actually an ARC edition, which is why the cover looks like this. But this one really intrigues me. I don't actually know what genre this classifies as. Let me have a look. Okay, it's saying a horror thriller with elements of fantasy, mystery and romance. Say no more, honestly. And this is also inspired by Frankenstein, and Frankenstein is probably one of my favourite classics that I've read so far. I actually have a list of classics that I want to get to at some point, and I'm slowly making my way through them. And out of the ones that I've read so far, I would say Frankenstein is definitely near the top end of that. So the fact that this is inspired by Frankenstein makes me really excited, because I feel like it's going to be like a modern version maybe. This one, I believe the main character is a mortician or a mortician's daughter, and I think it focuses on like the dead not staying dead. I'm excited, I'm very intrigued, and I feel like it's definitely going to be different to what I've read before. I don't think I've actually read like a horror thriller before, but I think I'm gonna love it. I don't know, there's just something about that on edge feeling that I really look for in my thrillers in general. So I feel like it makes sense that a horror thriller would have more of that. I don't know, we'll see, but I'm excited for this one. Okay, next we have a November release. I actually was lucky enough to be sent an early copy of this, which I literally cannot believe, and I would love to prioritise reading this soon. We have Fallen Stars by Imani Eri. This is the second one in the Heavenly Bodies series. I read Heavenly Bodies a few months ago and I really enjoyed it. It's just such a fast-paced romancy, and I love the whole world that it was set in with these celestial beings, and I liked how it wasn't too much world building. So I'm really excited for this one, especially with the way that Heavenly Bodies ended and everything. It definitely raised some questions as to what this was actually going to be about and like what was going to happen to these characters. So I'm very intrigued by this. Feel very lucky that I have an early copy, and I literally cannot wait to read it and to carry on with the series. And I'm hoping this is going to be just as fast paced as the first one. I imagine that it would be. Another one that I literally cannot wait to get to, we have And Now Back to You by BK Borison. Again, I was so kindly sent this one, which I screamed when I opened this. You have no idea how excited I am to read this book. This is actually coming out in February 2026, which is insane. And I feel so lucky that I will get to read this year. This is the second one in the Heartstrings series. So the first one was First Time Caller. I really enjoyed that. It was a Sleepless in Seattle inspired romance. And this one is a When Harry Met Sally inspired romance, which I actually rewatched that film recently and it just made me even more excited to get into this book. Very intrigued to see how that's done. I'm gonna guess that this is like a friends to lovers situation. I think that they get stuck in a snowstorm like in the mountains. So it's got the forced proximity in there. I'm just really intrigued by this, very excited, and I love the way that BK Morrison writes. I just find it so easy to read. I mean, I have only read First Time Caller, but I imagine that this one is going to be similar in that aspect. And I'm so here for these like inspired romances. I just think it's so fun, and especially with like movies that we know and love, I just to take that and like do a fun little spin on it. I just think it's fun. I don't know. So definitely hoping to get to this one either this month or potentially next month. We shall see. Tea break. Okay, what do we have next? Let's go for Silver Elite. Silver Elite. I feel like I have been saying that I want to read this book for a long time now. And I think it's purely because it feels so chunky and it feels like such a commitment to get into this book and this whole world and everything. But every time I see people raving about this book and talking about how much they love it and also how fast paced it is, and this is one that has actually been recommended to me for getting out of a reading slump. Literally every time anybody says anything about it, I'm like, I need to read it. I need to read it immediately. And I would love to have read this by the end of the year. Don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm putting it out there. Putting it out there. I also think that like autumn, winter time is a really good time for fantasy or dystopian. I think this is actually classed as a dystopian romance, but I know that when it came out there was talk about whether it was a dystopian or more of a fantasy. Whatever it is, I'm excited for it, and I feel like it could potentially be good autumn winter time. So that's why I'm going to put it on my 10 before the end. Whether I get to it or not, questionable. But I have been very intrigued by this one literally since it first came out, and there was so much hype and talk about it, and I just want to know what all the hype is about, honestly, with this one. I just want to know. Next up we have an Agatha Christie. I've actually never read an Agatha Christie before, and I feel like as a thriller mystery girl, I'm like, how have I not? How have I not? This is And Then There Were None, and this is such a fun edition because not only is it stunning, I mean look on the inside, and then the actual hardcover is like this poem or saying like written on. I don't know if you can see that. Can you kind of see that? And this one's really fun because you actually like try and solve it as you're reading. And this edition has the answer in an envelope in the back. How fun is that? How fun is that? I'm so excited, and I'm just so intrigued to actually get around to reading an Agatha Christie book because she's literally the queen of mysteries, and this edition is just stunning, and I'm really excited to try and solve it, and hopefully I do. I feel like with all the thrillers and mysteries that I do read, I'm really hoping that I am able to solve that, because I know that Agatha Christie as well, when she writes, she like puts in enough clues so that you could work it out for yourself. So I'm really intrigued to see how I get on with her writing and also whether I can actually solve it. That'll be so fun to see. Next we have a classic that is on my list of classics that I want to get to at some point, and I think this is the one on that list that is just intriguing me the most at the minute, and that's The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. I've heard really mixed things about this one, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm so intrigued by it, and I actually read the first sentence, and just the first sentence alone intrigues me. Honestly, I don't actually know too much about this other than that it follows an intern that works for this fashion magazine in New York, and I believe that it's set in the 1950s. And I believe that this is her only novel that she wrote. Yeah, it's her only novel, and it's partially based on her own life, which I'm so intrigued by, and I would love to read it. And it's also actually not that long for a classic. It's a little over 230 pages, so very intrigued by this one. And I quite like that I don't actually know the story of this yet, and that I'm kind of going in blind and not really knowing that much, so it should definitely be an interesting read. I've also just seen that it's set in the summer of 1953, and I'm questioning whether I should have saved this for summertime. Please let me know if it's like really summer vibes, because in that case I probably would rather save this for summer. But I also really wanted to read it before the end of the year, so let me know, because if it's like just set in summer but it's not necessarily massively summer vibes, I'll read it before then, you know? Let me know if you've read this book. Okay, well, on to our final three. The next one I have is Red Sister by Mark Lawrence, and this one I've actually never heard anybody talk about this book. I've never heard anything about it, but I'm definitely very intrigued. It's a high fantasy, I think, which kind of scares me, but the whole premise of this sounds really interesting. I think it's basically like this school where they raise girls to be killers and like to be assassins, which I think sounds like a really cool concept. And I think it follows our main character like becoming this deadly assassin and trying to survive in this world. That's basically all I know about this, but I kind of like that I don't know that much. Definitely very intrigued, kind of intimidated because it is, how many pages? Oh, it's not even 500. It feels like more than that. It feels chunkier than that, I don't know why. Okay, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe it's not that bad. chunky book, and the fact that it's listed as like a high fantasy scares me, but we'll see. I'm excited, I'm intrigued. I think this is going to be a good one for like more winter months, which is why I've put it in this list, because I'm hoping to get to it maybe November, December time. Talking of December though, a lot of my December is going to be filled with Christmas reading. Obviously, I mean, what else would I be doing in December? I absolutely love Christmas. I love Christmas, I love Christmas books, and I have a couple that I'm so excited to get to in December, and when I tell you that I have actually considered reading these before December, that's how excited I am to read these books. I'm gonna try and wait, but look, if I read them earlier, I read them earlier. The first one we have is Holiday Ever After by Hannah Grace. I am so excited for this book. I feel like it's been a while since we've had a Hannah Grace book. Daydream was her most recent one. I think that was last year, I want to say. So it just feels like it's been a while since I've been in a Hannah Grace world, and I'm so intrigued by this and I'm so excited. This was like such a surprise release. This is a small town romance, and I think it's got a bit of like, maybe not enemies to lovers, but like a hate to love kind of situation, because I think our main girl Clara basically comes back to the town to solve an issue with her family's business. Her family has like this toy shop or this toy company, and Jack, who is our main MMC, is basically accused of stealing one of their doll designs, I believe. So it's definitely giving like a hate to love kind of situation. Very intrigued. I think it's also Grumpy Sunshine as well. And I'm just so happy to have another Hannah Grace book to read, because I do really like the way she creates characters and relationships between characters, and I've enjoyed all three of the books in the Maple Hill series so far. So I'm very excited to see what's in store for a little Christmas small town romance. I'm very much here for it. And then the last book on this list, which I will definitely be reading in December, literally since this was announced, I have been so excited to read it, and that's Good Spirits by B.K. Barrison. I actually don't own a copy yet. I'm kind of waiting until I definitely want to sit down and read it, because I definitely will be getting this book at some point, but I do sometimes like to just wait and go out and buy a book and then read it in the same day. Like, I just think there's something about that that's just so exciting. I don't know. So I'm kind of saving this book to do that with, because I do know that I want it at some point. And I just feel like sometimes when they sit on your TBR for too long, the novelty of them kind of wears off a little bit. So I am waiting to buy this one, but I will definitely be buying it in December, if not before then. I'm just so excited for this. First of all, another B.K. Barrison book, and the fact that the MMC in here is The Ghost of Christmas Past, I sold immediately. Sold immediately. So I think it's like a magical realism, paranormal romance, and I'm so here for it. I love romances with a little bit of a twist in them, or a little bit of something different, and I love magical realism in books, so I'm so excited for this, because I feel like it's been a while since I've read like a magical realism or even like paranormal romance or anything of that kind. So I'm really looking forward to this, and I think it's going to be so interesting. I always find it so interesting when they're ghosts, because how are you ending that? Like, how is that going to work out? It's always so interesting to me. And yeah, I just think this is going to be the perfect little Christmassy read, and I'm very, very excited to get to it in December, if not before then. But I'm going to try and wait. I'm going to try and get through the other books that aren't Christmas related, and then move on to the Christmas books. I think that's the plan. They're all the 10 books that I'm hoping to read before the end of the year. I would absolutely love to know the book that is at the top of your list that you definitely want to read, that you want to get to before the end of the year. I would love to know. I would love to chat to you guys about it, so let me know in the comments. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching today's video, and I will hopefully see you in my next one.